The unexpected arrival, the SS Horizon drifted through the black ocean of space, its engines humming in a steady rhythm. Captain Reyes leaned back in his chair, a cup of coffee in his hand, his eyes scanning the navigation display without much concern. It had been a routine cargo run, just a simple jump from the trade station near Mars to a mining colony 2 sectors away. But the ship's AI suddenly spoke in its calm, polite voice. Course deviation detected. Re-entry point unstable. Crew felt the familiar lurch as the jump drive disengaged, space around them rippling like disturbed water. When the stars reappeared, they were not where they should be. Instead of the mining sector's calm traffic lanes, they were surrounded by massive shapes, alien warships, hundreds of them, there. Hulls glowing with strange energy lines. The largest ship was so big, it could have swallowed the horizon whole, its surface covered in silver spires and rotating shield rings. Lieutenant Kim's eyes widened. Captain? I think we've got company." Reyes took a slow sip of his coffee. "Noted," he said casually. On the comms, a deep, commanding alien voice thundered, speaking in a language the Horizon's translator struggled to keep up with. "This is the territory of the Galactic Empire. Identify yourself or face annihilation." The crew glanced at each other, expecting panic, but Reyes only shrugged. "Patch me through." When his voice came across the channel, it was calm, almost friendly. "This is Captain Reyes of the SS Horizon. Cargo freighter, Earth Registry. We seem to have taken a wrong turn." A pause followed. Then the alien voice returned, laced with disbelief. "Wrong turn? You have trespassed into sacred Imperial space, human vessel." The Horizon scanners painted the space around them in red threat indicators. Every ship's weapon systems locked on. Ensign Patel muttered, "That's a lot of guns pointed." At us, Reyes just leaned forward. "Relax, Patel. I've seen worse in traffic back in Manila." The crew chuckled quietly, the tension in the room easing in a way that would have shocked the Imperial officers listening. One of the alien ships moved closer, its size blotting out entire starfields. Through the forward viewport, the crew saw alien soldiers in golden armor standing in transparent bays, watching them like insects under glass. The comms lit up again, this time with a different voice, sharper, colder. "You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Lieutenant Kim raised an ending eyebrow. "Do we comply?" Reyes set his coffee down. "Sure. Let's see what kind of welcome mat they've got." As the alien ship extended docking arms, the Horizon's crew moved with deliberate calm, securing their cargo, locking down sensitive compartments, and unknown to the aliens activating encrypted data uploads to Earth. If they were going to be guests, Earth would want to know exactly who their hosts were. When the airlock finally hissed open, the boarding party entered tall, four-eyed beings with pale, almost metallic skin, their weapons sleek and ornate. One of them stepped forward, scanning the humans from head to toe. "You will follow," it said, its voice flat, mechanical. Reyes motioned for his crew to move. "Lead the way," he replied, as if being escorted onto an alien warship was just another Tuesday. The alien corridors were vast and glowing with blue-white light, strange glyphs pulsing along the walls. They passed through a chamber filled with floating holograms, maps of entire star systems, fleets marked in shifting patterns. The escort brought them into a large hall where a tall alien in crimson armor stood, its presence radiating authority. "I am Commander Valen of the Imperial Vanguard," it announced. "You are trespassers. And under Imperial law, that is punishable by immediate execution." The crew remained silent, eyes on Reyes. He took a slow breath, tilted his head, and said, "Execution? Seems a bit rude for a first meeting, don't you think?" A faint ripple of confusion passed through the alien guards. Valen's four eyes narrowed. "You are not afraid?" Reyes gave a small smile. "We've been through worse." It was. The Truth Earth had seen wars, disasters, and invasions before. Whatever the Empire thought it could do, it was nothing compared to humanity's history of survival. Commander Valen stared at him for a long moment before saying, "You will answer to the Emperor himself." The words carried weight, but Reyes simply nodded. "All right, set up the meeting. I'll bring the coffee." The alien guards exchanged puzzled glances. They had expected pleading, bargaining, maybe even tears. Instead, they got a calm human captain who acted like the galaxy's most powerful empire was just another business stop. As they were led deeper into the flagship, the Horizon floated quietly outside, transmitting every scrap of data it could gather. Unseen by the Empire, the message had already reached Earth, and far across the void, human fleets began to stir, moving quietly toward the Imperial border. The game had just begun, and the humans were already playing it like they'd been here before. First contact, Earth-style. The Imperial flagship's hall was vast, a cathedral of metal and light. Towering statues of alien warriors lined the walls, their eyes glowing. Faintly, as if watching the humans with quiet judgment, Captain Reyes walked at the front of his crew, hands relaxed at his sides, his expression calm. To the Imperial guards, this calmness was unsettling. Most species trembled in fear when brought here. Yet these humans looked like tourists. Commander Valen gestured toward a raised platform in the center of the chamber. "This is where you will stand while you are questioned," he said, his voice cold and clipped. Reyes glanced at the platform, then at his crew. "All right, folks, let's give them our best manners." He stepped up, scanning the alien audience. Seated around the room, their faces a mix of curiosity and contempt, a tall alien in flowing silver robes approached. Clearly someone of high rank. "I am High Adjudicator Thrix," the alien announced. "I will determine your fate." The words hung in the air like a knife. Reyes tilted his head. "That's nice. I'm Captain Reyes, and this is my crew. We're from Earth. Ever heard of it?" A murmur ran through the aliens, some exchanging data tablets, others whispering. It was clear the name meant little to them. Thrix leaned forward. "You claim ignorance, yet you trespass into the most guarded sector of the Empire." Reyes shrugged. "Lightly, like I said, wrong turn. Your navigation beacons are different," one alien officer snorted. "Primitive navigation." Reyes' smile widened just a fraction. "Primitive, sure, but it gets us where we need to go most of the time." The tension shifted when Thrix tried a different tactic. "We are the Galactic Empire. Our fleet controls over 1,000 worlds. Our armies are unmatched." The alien's tone dripped with superiority. Reyes simply crossed his arms. "Sounds impressive. But on Earth, we've heard that kind of speech before, usually right before we win." A ripple of disbelief moved through the chamber. It wasn't just arrogance. There was something in the human's tone that carried history, weight, and the kind of confidence born from surviving too much to be easily shaken. One younger alien officer leaned toward another, whispering, "Why? Are they not afraid?" The High Adjudicator's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps you do not understand the situation. You are surrounded, outnumbered, and far from home." Reyes looked him in the eye. "And perhaps you don't understand ours. We've never needed big numbers to win." It was a quiet statement, but it landed like a challenge. Somewhere deep in the flagship systems, the Horizon's data taps kept working, sending encrypted scans back to Earth. They were mapping the Empire's weapons, shields, and fleet. Formations. Every byte of data priceless. But Reyes' job here wasn't just to gather intel. It was to keep the Empire off balance. And judging by the shifting posture of the aliens, it was working. A sudden chime echoed through the chamber, and a holographic display lit up in the air. It showed the Horizon floating calmly outside. Thrix tapped a control on his armrest, magnifying. "The view. Your vessel will be escorted to a secure dock. Any resistance will be answered with destruction." Reyes smiled faintly. "Dock away. Just don't scratch the paint." That earned a few shocked stares. Most species begged for their ships to be spared. This human was worried about scratches. The chamber doors opened again, and an officer in gold-trimmed armor entered. He bowed briefly to Thrix, then glanced at the humans. "The Emperor has been informed of their presence," the officer said. "He wishes to see them." The rune stirred being summoned by the Emperor himself was rare, and usually fatal. Reyes looked at his crew, then at the officer. "Yes. We'd better not keep him waiting." Thrix's mouth curled into something like a smile. "Yes. Let us see if your courage lasts in the Emperor's presence." The guards reformed around them, their weapons gleaming under the lights. The humans walked forward, still calm, still unshaken. To the Empire, it was maddening these newcomers acted as if they had been here 100 times before, far away. In the dark stretch of space near the Imperial border, Earth's first fleet moved silently, their ships hidden under advanced cloaking systems. They had received the horizons transmissions, and they were coming. The Emperor just didn't know it yet. Asterisk. The interrogation game. The humans were led through winding corridors inside the Imperial flagship. The walls pulsed faintly with light, like veins carrying power through a living creature. Alien guards flanked them at every turn, their weapons never lowering. To the crew of the Horizon, it almost felt like walking through a museum, except this museum could kill them in an instant. The path ended at a set of tall black doors. They slid open with a low hiss, revealing a chamber filled with hovering machines, glowing restraints, and a table in the center. Above it, strange orbs spun slowly, projecting shifting symbols in the air. The room felt cold, not from temperature, but from purpose. This was a place built for breaking people. Commander Valen stepped forward. "This is where you will answer our questions." Reyes scanned the room casually. "Looks cozy." The aliens didn't understand the sarcasm, but they understood the lack of fear, and it unsettled them. The crew was separated, each taken to different corners of the room with their own hovering interrogation drones. The drones were covered in spines and lenses, recording every breath. One lowered in front of Reyes, a metallic voice speaking. "State your purpose in Imperial space." Reyes leaned back in his chair. "Like I said before wrong turn, nothing dramatic." The drone's lights flickered. "You are hiding something." Reyes' lips twitched in a half-smile. "You've been talking to my ex." Across the room, Ensign Patel chuckled under his breath, earning a sharp look from the alien interrogator. The questions grew sharper, more specific. "Earth, what is its military strength?" Reyes tilted his head. "Strong enough to survive everything thrown at us." "What is your fleet size?" "Enough. What are your most dangerous weapons?" Reyes' eyes narrowed slightly. "You'll know if you force us to use them." The alien interrogators exchanged uneasy glances. They were used to species boasting about power to avoid looking weak. But this was different. The humans spoke with a certainty that didn't feel like bluffing. In another corner, Lieutenant Kim was being shown images of alien worlds, lush planets, shining cities, mighty fleets. "Do these intimidate you?" the interrogator asked. Kim studied the images for a moment. "They're nice, but we've had cities too before they were turned to ash and rebuilt." The alien blinked slowly, not understanding the quiet weight in her words. Meanwhile, the Horizon's hidden systems kept transmitting from deep within the flagship. Encrypted packets of information flowed toward Earth. They carried ship schematics, fleet positions, and even partial translations of the Empire's classified files. The humans weren't just answering questions. They were gathering their own, halfway. Through the interrogation, a young alien officer entered the chamber. He whispered something into Valen's ear. The commander's expression shifted slightly irritation, maybe even concern. Finally, Valen turned to Reyes. "The Emperor grows impatient." "He will see you now." Reyes stood, brushing imaginary dust from his jacket. "Great. I was starting to get bored." One alien slammed a clawed hand onto the table. You mock the Empire. Reyes met his eyes without flinching. Not mocking, just not scared. As the guards reassembled around them, the alien officer who had whispered earlier glanced briefly at Reyes. It was a tiny gesture barely noticeable, but the meaning was clear. A warning. Something was about to happen. They left the chamber and stepped into a wide hallway lined with banners of gold and crimson. At the far end, enormous doors waited. Beyond them was the throne room of the Galactic Emperor himself. The air seemed to grow heavier with each step. But the humans walked forward at the same steady pace. No fear, no hesitation, just the quiet confidence of a species that had survived far worse than this. Far away, the first of Earth's stealth ships crossed into Imperial space. Silent shadows slipping past the Empire's defenses. The Emperor was about to meet his uninvited guests, and the galaxy was about to see why humans were never to be underestimated. Earth's quiet power, the massive throne room doors groaned. As they opened, the sound echoing like distant thunder. Inside, the chamber stretched so far that the far wall vanished into haze. Columns of black stone rose to a vaulted ceiling lit by rivers of glowing crystal. Hundreds of alien nobles stood. Along the edges, their jeweled robes catching the light like shifting stars. At the center, on a raised dais of obsidian, sat the Emperor. His armor was carved from some ancient metal, each plate etched with the history of wars long past. 4 piercing eyes studied the humans as they entered. The weight of his gaze made lesser species tremble, yet Reyes met it calmly. The guards led the humans to the center of the hall. The Emperor spoke, his voice deep and layered, as if more than one being was speaking at once. You stand in my presence uninvited, unannounced, and unafraid. Reyes bowed his head slightly. Captain Reyes, Earth, here by accident. A ripple of soft laughter moved through the nobles. One alien noble sneered. Accident? In the most fortified system of the Empire? Reyes didn't turn to face him. We don't usually plan these things. Sometimes the universe just throws us together. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You? Carry no fleet, no army, yet you speak without fear. Why? Reyes let the silence stretch for a moment before answering. Because fear won't help us here. It wasn't bravado. It was truth, and the Emperor knew it. To one side of the chamber, Imperial recorders scanned the humans, their devices. Detected elevated heartbeats, but not panic. Instead, the readings matched those of soldiers on high alert. These were not random traders who had wandered into the Empire. They were prepared for something. The Emperor shifted slightly on his throne. I have crushed entire civilizations that dared to defy me. Reyes smiled faintly. Then maybe. It's time you met one that won't be crushed so easily. A murmur of shock moved through the hall. Several nobles took a step back, as if the words themselves carried danger. The Emperor's 4 eyes locked on Reyes, searching for the crack. In his calm, but there was none. Far beyond the throne room, on the horizon, hidden subroutines activated. The freighter's external panels shifted slightly, revealing sensor arrays no civilian ship should have. It was quietly feeding targeting data to incoming human warships. Every second, the net around the Emperor's precious system grew tighter. In the shadows of the hall, a figure watched Lieutenant Arvin, the young alien officer who had shown Reyes a flicker of warning earlier. He stepped forward under the guise of delivering a message to the guards. As he passed Reyes, his voice dropped to a whisper. They will test you soon. Reyes didn't glance at him, only answered softly. Let them. The Emperor leaned forward. Perhaps words are not enough. You will be given a trial. Reyes asked. Trial of what? The Emperor's mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. Survival. From somewhere deep in the palace walls, a low hum began to rise. The floor beneath the humans shifted. Massive panels pulling back to reveal a circular lift. Guards gestured for them to step on. Reyes turned to his crew. Looks like they want to see what we can do. As the lift began to descend into darkness, the last thing they saw was the Emperor's unblinking gaze following them down. And far out in the cold edges of space, human fleet captains received a final encrypted message from the horizon. Stand by, the trial was coming and Earth was ready, asterisk. The first test the lift descended for what felt like minutes, the walls around the humans glowing faintly with embedded symbols. When it finally stopped, the floor opened into a vast arena. Metal walls rose high into the darkness, and huge gates lined the edges. From somewhere above, a low roar echoed, followed by the metallic grind of heavy machinery. Commander Valen's voice came over a loudspeaker, cold and sharp. This is the proving ground. No one leaves without showing their worth. Reyes glanced around at his crew. Guess we're the entertainment. The crew spread out instinctively, each scanning their surroundings. The smell of ionized air was thick, the kind that came just before energy weapons fired. A massive gate began to rise, and from the shadows beyond it, a ship drifted forward, sleek, predatory, bristling with weapons. It wasn't Imperial. It bore the jagged marks and patchwork armor of a pirate warship. Rees muttered, "So, they want us to fight their problems for them." From another gate, 3 more pirate ships emerged, engines snarling like beasts. Above, the Emperor watched from a transparent viewing deck with his nobles. One alien laughed softly. "They will last minutes." The Emperor didn't answer. He wanted to see. The Horizon's crew moved quickly, Reyes ordering them into action over comms. "Patel, get the Horizon systems hot. Kim, link our sensors to theirs. Let's make them think we're bigger than we are." The pirate ships opened fire. First, plasma bolts slamming into the arena floor, throwing up clouds of molten debris. The Horizon darted sideways, shields shimmering under the impact. From the outside, it looked like a desperate dodge. From inside, it was Precision Reyes, letting the pirates think they had control. Then Kim called out, "Target lock ready to return fire." Reyes' voice was calm. "Let's take their teeth out." The Horizon's forward cannons flared, sending bursts of tungsten slugs at near-light speed. One pirate ship's shields shattered instantly, armor ripping open in a spray of molten fragments. The audience above gasped, not just at the damage, but at the way the humans had done it without hesitation. The remaining pirates regrouped, trying to flank the Horizon. Reyes waited until they moved into a tight cluster. "Now," he said. And the Horizon dropped a trio of guided charges into their path. The charges exploded in a controlled arc, disabling engines without vaporizing the ships. The message was clear. They could kill if they wanted, but they didn't need to. Up in the viewing deck, one noble muttered, "They're holding back." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. He had seen countless species fight for their lives, fearfully, recklessly, desperately. But these humans fought like they were training. Every move was measured, every risk calculated, every shot with purpose. On the arena floor, the last pirate captain tried a final run. Weapons blazing, Reyes didn't even look up from his console. Kim turned them around. Kim tapped a sequence, and the Horizon's jamming field surged, corrupting the pirates' targeting systems. Their ship spun out of control, crashing into the arena wall with a dull boom. Silence fell. The fight had lasted less than 4 minutes. The Emperor leaned back on his throne-like seat, studying the scene. There was no doubt now. This small crew, this lone human ship, was far more dangerous than they appeared. "Overcomes, Valen's voice returned, a touch tighter than before. "You have passed the test. The Emperor will see you again." Reyes just smirked, looking forward to it. As the Horizon rose back toward the upper levels, the humans didn't celebrate. They didn't need to. This wasn't victory. It was a message, far beyond this Imperial system. Earth's fleet received the final data they needed. The time for quiet observation was ending, and the galaxy had no idea what was about to arrive. Asterisk invitation or ultimatum. The Horizon's landing ramp lowered into the Imperial courtyard. Above them, Alien banners fluttered in an artificial breeze, and armored guards lined both sides of the marble path. At the far end stood the Emperor once again, but this time there were fewer nobles, only his closest advisors. The air felt heavier, as if the entire planet was holding its breath. Reyes and his crew walked forward, their boots echoing softly against the polished stone. The Emperor raised one clawed hand, and the courtyard doors closed behind them with a deep thud. "You have impressed the Empire," he said slowly, his layered voice carrying both curiosity and warning. "You have skill, discipline, and a certain disregard for fear." Reyes stood still, letting the silence stretch before answering. "We do what we have to do." The Emperor's 4 eyes studied him. "Then hear my offer: join the Empire as an honored vassal world. Serve our fleets, and your people will prosper." "And if we say no?" Reyes asked calmly. The Emperor's mouth curved slightly. "Then we will take what we want." For a moment, no one moved. Then Reyes chuckled softly. "See, that's the thing we don't do, vassal. And taking from us usually doesn't end well for the taker." One of the advisors hissed in anger. "You dare refuse?" Reyes glanced at him without flinching. "I'm not refusing. I'm offering you something better. A friendship built on equality, not chains." The Emperor's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened on the arm of his throne. From the edge of the courtyard, Lieutenant Arvin, the young officer who had warned Reyes before, watched intently. The Emperor leaned forward. "Do you believe your people strong enough to defy us?" Reyes smiled faintly. "I don't believe we know." At that moment, far beyond the Imperial capital, dozens of human warships decloaked along the outer defense ring. They appeared without warning, slipping past the Empire's sensors like ghosts inside the courtyard. A small comms device on Rey's belt pulsed twice confirmation from Earth. The Horizon's crew remained outwardly calm, but inside they knew the net was already around the Empire's throat. The Emperor tilted, his head sensing something. A faint shimmer passed across the sky, and for a split second, the outline of a massive ship could be seen in orbit bigger than anything in the Imperial fleet. Gasps rippled among the guards. Reyes stepped closer to the Emperor, his voice low. "Steady. We came here by accident, but we stay by choice. Don't make us choose the hard way." The Emperor's gaze locked on Reyes, and for the first time, there was no arrogance, only calculation. He waved a hand, and the advisors fell silent. "Very well," he said at last. "We will speak again soon." As Reyes turned to leave, Arvin slipped a small data chip into his hand without a word. Reyes didn't look at it, but he knew it was important. The courtyard doors opened again, and the humans walked back toward the horizon. Above them, the faint glint of Earth's hidden fleet hung in the void like a promise. The choice was now in the Emperor's hands, but humanity had already made theirs asterisk. The eye of the Empire, the Imperial throne room, had been transformed. Giant holoscreens lined the walls, broadcasting the meeting across the Empire and beyond. Billions of beings on thousands of worlds watched, their feeds locked onto the event. At the center, the Emperor sat tall on his black throne, flanked by guards in ceremonial armor. Across from him stood Captain Reyes and the crew of the Horizon, calm as ever. "This assembly," the Emperor began, his voice echoing through every screen, "is to decide the future of these humans." The words carried the weight of history. Every alien ruler, trader, and soldier listening knew the Empire had crushed challengers before. Most expected the humans to beg, or at least speak softly. Rey stepped forward, his voice steady. "You invited us here to show the galaxy your power." He paused just long enough for the tension to grow. "Instead, we'll show them ours." The holoscreens flickered. Suddenly, the image split, half showing the throne room, half showing deep space. A ripple of gasps moved through the audience as the feed revealed dozens, then hundreds of human warships uncloaking at the very edge of the Imperial capital. The ships were massive, black as void, their hulls lined with glowing weapon ports. "Your defenses never saw us arrive," Rees said, "and if we meant harm, you would." "Already know." The Emperor's four eyes narrowed, his gaze sharp but not angry curious. The nobles whispered among themselves, their arrogance shaken. "You could have attacked," the Emperor said slowly, "yet you stand here in peace." Reyes nodded. "Because we're not here to conquer. We're here to decide if you're worth working with." The line hit harder than any threat. It wasn't defiance, it was evaluation. The Empire was being judged. From somewhere in the crowd, Lieutenant Arvin stepped forward, his voice firm. "Perhaps. They are worth listening to." The Emperor glanced at him, and back at Reyes. "What do you want?" The Emperor asked. Reyes didn't hesitate. "Trade, cooperation, respect, and no chains." Silence fell. In that silence, the galaxy saw something new. Two powers, meeting not as predator and prey, but as equals. The Emperor rose from his throne, and to the astonishment of his court, he inclined his head. "Then let the galaxy witness a treaty of equals," he declared. The hollow screens captured every moment Reyes shaking the Emperor's clawed hand, the crowd erupting in a mix of cheers and disbelief. The broadcast would ripple across the galaxy for years. For the first time in living memory, the Empire had not demanded submission, it had offered alliance. As the horizon departed hours later, Rees stood on the bridge, watching the Imperial capital shrink into the distance. Kim asked, "Think this is the last time we see them?" Reyes sipped his coffee. "Not a chance." Outside the viewport, the human fleet peeled away into the void, silent sentinels in the dark. The game had changed, and now humanity had a seat at the table. Asterisk.